Mel, you've never had in the history of the draft quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that an indication of how great you think this class is, or is that just because there's a lot of quarterback need teams at the top of the draft?
David, it's the most important position in all sports as quarterback. They always get forced up. You go back to 1999, you had Tim Couch, Donovan McNabb, and you had Achilles Smith go 1, 2, 3. Back in 1971, you had Jim Plunkett, even those days. Jim Plunkett, Archie Manning, Dan Pastorini. So 1, 2, 3 has happened before, never 1, 2, 3, 4. But I think the fact that Atlanta would like the heir apparent to Matt Ryan, Carolina desperate for a quarterback, the Jets, do they take Wilson or trade to somebody that will take Wilson? And obviously Lawrence locked into 1. So that's why it makes it a pretty easy prediction to think that at the least 3, but probably 4 quarterbacks go in the top 4.
But quickly, just to sort of piggyback on that question, just a few years ago, we had all those quarterbacks going up high with Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, all going in the top 10. How does this foursome compare to that as prospects?
I think it's right there. I think certainly, I was higher on Josh Allen. I had Sam Darnold second, and Rosen, and obviously Lamar Jackson was in that draft. Don't forget about him at 32. So I think you look at that draft, and only Josh Rosen has been the quarterback that so far hasn't had an opportunity. It was just bad circumstances that the cards were stacked against him in a couple spots. But all those other quarterbacks right now, Josh being the best, Darnold still has a chance, I think, to be a really good quarterback in this league. We know what Lamar's doing already, and Baker in Cleveland's coming around and playing really good football. So, hey, that's been a really good draft. And this one figures to be equally as good at quarterback.
I was just looking at the 4 versus the first 4 who went that year. Okay, Orlovsky, you're up next. What is your question for Mel Kiper Jr.?
Yeah, Mel, was there another team in the first round that you thought about having them take a quarterback or trade up and go take a quarterback? Was there another team? If so, who? And if not, why?
Dano, I was thinking about the 49ers at 12 to maybe get an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo, and that would be Justin Fields or Trey Lance. When I say an upgrade, a dual-threat quarterback who can expand that Kyle Shanahan offense dramatically. Think about Mike Shanahan with RG3, had that incredible start to his career with a Shanahan being Mike, father of Kyle. So you think about that type of quarterback, but at 12, Mac Jones isn't that type of quarterback. You have Jimmy G. That's why I won against taking Mac Jones at that point. Thought about, though, to answer your question, Dano, making the 49ers a team that could jump up from 12 to get either a Fields or a Lance.
Now, there's so many things there that are intertwined as well, if you think about it, because the Garoppolo factor goes to the Patriots factor, and the Patriots with Mac Jones sitting where they are, and so much of this feels like 6 degrees of separation. Graziano, you are next up. What is your question for Mel Kiper Jr.?
Mel, I want to know what's the pick in this mock draft that gave you the most trouble, the one you agonized over and changed a million times before finally sending it in?
Well, 31 of the 32 did, Dan, answer your question outside of Trevor. But to go to the one that made the most, sleepless nights for about a week and a half, was the 5th pick of the Cincinnati Bengals, because you think about Kyle Pitts and that unique talent for Zach Taylor, for Joe Burrow. And then you think about Jamar Chase. And you think, hey, why not Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle, okay, to give Burrow more time? But you have Jonah Williams at left tackle. You brought in Riley Reif to be the right tackle. So instead of Devontae Smith or Jamar Chase or an offensive lineman, I went with Kyle Pitts, an incredible player who will give them something that you can't get in the 2nd, 3rd round. You get a really good receiver in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round this year. In any draft, this year, next year, probably 5 years from now, 10 years from now, are you ever going to find another Kyle Pitts? No, you're not.
That really maybe is the other thing to underline here for fans. If you haven't started paying close attention to the draft, the first round is 5 weeks from Thursday, so it's time to start tiptoeing towards this. The playmakers, if you will, because let's put Kyle Pitts into the conversation with Jamar Chase and Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle and others. Mel, how does this class of playmakers, offensive playmakers, compare to ones that we've seen in recent years?
Could be one of the best we've ever seen in terms of depth. I have 35 wide receivers I like in this draft that are going to play in this league. They may not be 1 or 2s, but they're going to be 3, 4s, or 5s. And at tight end, not great, but turned out to be better than I thought. So I think in terms of wide receivers, Greeny, it's a great year all the way around, and it goes well beyond the top. We haven't even mentioned Jalen Waddle, who's a special player coming out of Alabama. I have him going to Miami, trading down from 3 down to 8 with Carolina and getting Jalen Waddle. And I haven't even mentioned some of the other guys I love. We'll talk a lot about them when we get to day 2 and even into day 3. So this is a deep year. That's why I say Kyle Pitts is so valuable, because after Kyle Pitts, there's a huge drop-off. I love the receivers, but there are other guys that are really good. Like I said, that's why Kyle Pitts, I think, gets an edge over Chase and Smith for the Cincinnati Bengals at 5.
Just for fun, I have less than a minute, but for both, for Pollack and then Orlovsky, when you look at those big name guys, Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, household names all, or soon to be. 5 years from now, which one will we say is the best pro? David Pollack.
Just to zag a little bit, I'll go Waddle. I think he's going to be phenomenal. I think he's going to be one of these guys that you see in these systems that can run all over the place, can return kicks, return punts, just be a big-time playmaker. I wouldn't be surprised if we look back, because I don't think he's like Ruggs. I wouldn't be surprised if we look back and be like, man, that's the most productive receiver in this draft class. And Mel just told you, it's going to be ridiculous how good this class is.
Super quick, Orlovsky, which guy?
Jamar Chase, then Kyle Pitts. If I could have Jamar Chase, give me Jamar Chase. If I can't have Jamar Chase, give me Kyle Pitts.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.